Let's move to jobs reports. U.S. added 216,000 jobs in March. That's fairly good news. Now, of course, I should say that the labor force participation rate, according to Calculated Risk, was unchanged at 64.2% in March. So, at the very least, this drop in the unemployment rate, dropping down to 8.8%, is not a function of more people leaving the job force. Those people are already out because we are at the lowest level of labor force participation since the early 80s. This is the percentage of working age population essentially in the labor force. The participation rate is well below the 66 to 67% rate that was normal over the last 20 years. So basically, that's the 99ers who have run out of unemployment benefits and are theoretically just waiting for the plutocrats to raise the Social Security retirement age so that they can drain their savings. So that's that number. So there's some good news in terms of adding jobs. Of course, the public sector was a drag on growth, having shed over 400,000 jobs since its peak in September. A lot of those jobs were census jobs, but I think there was about 14,000 public sector jobs lost over the past month. So kudos to those plutocrats who have been suggesting cuts and more austerity. It's working. It's working. Of course, the decrease in jobs is increasing jobs. I guess that's the theory there. So at a time when the Democrats have caved and caved and caved on budget cuts, they're now up to $33 million, which was the original Republican position after they had changed from the original Republican position of cutting $100 million, and then they changed again from that $33 million cuts back up to $100 because they're run by morons. But maybe they're not so stupid because they've managed to get the weak-kneed Democrats to cave. And here's an interesting story. The Maine GOP legislators are looking to loosen child labor laws. The minimum wage in Maine is $7.50 an hour. Under a new piece of legislation introduced in the state's House of Representatives by Republicans, employers will be able to pay anyone under the age of 20 as little as $5.25 an hour for their first 180 days on the job. That sounds like the Majority Report employment plan. The state Senate is also currently considering a bill that would allow the 16 and 17-year-old students to work until 11 p.m. on school nights. Currently, they're allowed to work until 10 p.m. It would also allow students to work for a total of 24 hours a week, 4 more than current laws allow. Republican Bruce Bickford, co-sponsor of the legislation, said that the government should stop standing in the way on child labor issues. This is in no way an attempt to abuse child labor, which some may look at it and say, we've fought hard for kids and we've done this or that, he said. Kids have parents. Let the parents be responsible for the kids. It's not up to the government to regulate everybody's life and lifestyle. Take the government away. Let the parents take care of the kids. April Fool. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's not April Fools. They actually did suggest that. You know, under that, if we were to take that logic, why do we have any child labor laws at all? Really, the real question we should all be asking, particularly in the state of Maine, is why are we not allowing adults, parents of children, to allow them to become sex slaves? Well, I mean, not sex slaves. Obviously, the parents are going to be smart enough to want money for it. But we should be allowing parents, if they deem it appropriate, to pimp out their kids. Right? I mean, let's get government out of the whole thing where you cannot pimp your kids out. Think of all the economic benefit Maine would get. if it was the home of child sex, sex vacation tourism. I mean, why do we have this whole thing with statutory rape in the first place? We get the government out of it. Let the parents decide. Let the parents decide. My goodness. The oppressive hand of government, which is telling me personally, you can't take your child and go and try and... What about child pornography? I have all of these pictures of my lovely daughter bathing and running around the house naked. If the government didn't prevent me from marketing those pictures, ladies and gentlemen, I wouldn't even have to ask you for membership. Maybe I could provide it as a bonus. My God. I would support, Bickford said, removing the cap for daily and weekly hours. But I would also support amending it to 6 hours when school's in session so the student could get home from school, say 3, and could work from 4 to 9. They'd still have plenty of time for homework. Like, these kids are just getting off scot-free now. Look at that. Let's say they spend an hour for homework. Maybe you give them, a brief opportunity to eat, I guess, at 9:15 at night. Give them a little... frankly, why shouldn't parents have the right to just give their kids some meth? They cut down on the food bills. They'd have plenty of time for homework. Most of these kids are generally up well past 10. I mean, come on now. So they get, shove a little food in them, shove a little whatever it is, some greenies or reddies or whatever it is that will keep them going through the day. And then something to knock them back down so they go back to sleep after, their day if they're not tired enough. I mean, because some of these kids probably just working desk jobs. Can't work in the fields in the Maine during the winter. So they could do, look, come on. We all know that by the time these kids are in their 20s and 30s, if they're lucky, they're going to be working in sweatshops at that time. And the hell with the education thing. God. You commies. The commies who are preventing this from happening. The dirty socialist communists.